close your eyes and pull like a dog.
And a new Irish record for Phil Healy, 22.99.
Christy Cooney hands over the Sam Maguire Cup to Graham Canty, Cork All-Ireland champions for the 7th time ever.
Hello and welcome to the Star Sport Podcast. My name is Jack McCarran of the Southern Star, and I'm joined as always by Star Sport editor Kieran McCarthy. And on a weekend when two giants of the heavyweight division clashed under the bright lights of the MGM Grand Garden Arena in Las Vegas, two heavyweights of the League of Ireland Premier Division clashed at Oriel Park as League Champions Dundalk welcomed their old foes Cork City to town. And not unlike the result in Vegas, which saw Tyson Fury completely dominate the now former champion Deontay Wilder, a comfortable 3-0 win for Dundalk was just further evidence of how far City have fallen in the last 18 months. On this week's show, we'll be joined by sports journalist Denis Hurley to ask why it has all gone wrong at Turner's Cross.
Sorry Jack, I nearly cut across you there. I'm very eager to get going with the next section, but first, we look at three local news stories from the past week. There's going to be new Beamish Cup champions crowned in West Cork after Spartak Mosgrove dethroned the reigning champions Cork Celtic 3-1 in a quarter-final tie last weekend. Goals from Daniel Toomey, Josh O'Donovan and Dennis Fahy have put Spartak through to the last four, and they'll be joined there by Dunmanway Town, who beat Durrus 5-0 in another quarter-final. Interesting too to see how the new GA rules are already affecting local GA, because in a Kelleher Shield game last Sunday morning in Ardagh, Carbery Rangers had to play with 12 men at one stage of the second half after two of their players were sin-binned, and they had a player also sent off in the first half. So to play, I suppose, for 10 minutes with 12 men obviously took its toll on Carbery Rangers, and they lost 3-15 to 2-9 against Killamartra. So like I said, the GA rules, interesting to see how they're already affecting local GAA. Great to see too that Darren Sweetnam was back in Munster colours last Friday night, and he scored a try in Munster's 28-0 away win against Zebre in the Pro 14. That was Darren's first appearance for Munster since last October, so that's good news to see the Dunmanway man back in action.
And just on some of the points you've listed there, Kieran, with the big local news stories, I just give a shout out to Spartak, who beat Toker. We played Spartak 2 weeks ago in the championship, and I have to say they were a very impressive football inside. They were probably a class above us on the day. We were missing some players, but I'm not surprised to see them beating Premier Division opposition. We played them twice this year. They beat us twice, and both times they were far and away. They're probably the best team we played this season, so no surprises to see them going far in the cup.
And they're on a roll at the moment because, like you said, they beat G a couple of weeks ago, and they've also got promoted to the Premier Division for next year. And Baltimore also played another promoted team last weekend. G played Mizzen, and Mizzen got a late goal through John Cullinan, and they're also going forward to the Premier Division next year. What do you make of Mizzen?
Yeah, Mizzen, as always, are very solid. They don't make many mistakes. They're good at the back, and they don't have a weak link in the whole side. I've now played Mizzen 5 times, I think, since I started playing soccer in the West Cork League, and each and every time it's been a tough game. We've yet to beat them. We got a draw, I think, twice, but Mizzen, a very good side, and they'll give any team in the Premier Division a tough day out next year, especially down in Goleen. They played us on the Baltimore Road last Sunday, and it was nip and tuck. They missed a lot of chances. They were probably deserved winners on the day, but I wouldn't be surprised to see them stay up and compete for the place in the top half of the Premier Division next season.
Shout out too to John Cullinan, who got the winner for Mizzen last weekend. 48 years old and still going strong, and he'll be back in Goleen colours and on the football field again with Goleen this year.
Sometimes when I play matches, I'm almost commentating in my head, and Mizzen had missed, I would say, 5 gilt-edge opportunities. Gerard McCarthy has a match report in this week's paper where he goes through some of the misses. But in the 87th minute, John Conan picked up the ball in midfield. I was playing midfield against him. I probably should have been marking him, but it broke through, and I said to myself in my head, this lad won't miss, because all their younger players had kind of missed chances under pressure because they needed to win to secure promotion. But when Cullinan was through, I said to myself, this lad is not going to miss, and sure enough, he slotted it home, and they took all 3 points.
Experience counts.
Yeah, absolutely. Coming up now after the break, we're going to chat to Denis Hurley about the plight of Cork City.
Thanks for listening to the Star Sport Podcast, the only podcast dedicated to all things sport in West Cork. Don't forget to pick up this Thursday's Southern Star newspaper, including our award-winning sports section with everything a West Cork sports fan could want. In shops across West Cork and online from anywhere in the world via www.thesouthernstar.ie/e-paper. The Southern Star and the Star Sport Podcast, #1 for sport in West Cork.
Cork City's start to the League of Ireland this season could scarcely have been any worse. They've lost all 3 of their opening games, conceding 10 goals in the process and scoring none. This is coming on the back of a season which saw them finish 3rd from bottom. You only have to go back 3 years to their famous double winning season, so I guess the question we want to ask today is, why has it all gone so wrong?
Yeah, that's a tough question to ask, Jack. And you're going straight into there. Like you said there, Cork City have had a pretty poor start to the season. They've lost their first 3 games. In fairness, the draw wasn't kind to them because they've had Shamrock Rovers and Dundalk away in 2 of their first 3 games. And to be fair, you wouldn't expect them to take much from that because Shamrock Rovers and Dundalk will be 2 of the favourites, or they are the 2 favourites in the Premier Division this year. Go back to the league opener, that's a very disappointing result for Cork City. They lost at home to newly promoted Shelbourne, and that's really a game that, if City are trying to harbour any, I suppose, ambitions of mid-table or even touching on a European place, they need to be beating teams like Shells at home. So it's been a pretty poor start to the season on the field. Off the field, there's been a couple of worrying noises too, and no better man to talk to and to explain all this than Denis Hurley, who covers Cork City on a weekly basis. So I caught up with Denis earlier just to find out more about what's happening off the field, because it came to light, Jack, last weekend that Cork City were a couple of hours away from going out of existence, and that's a scary thought when you just think back a couple of years ago when they won a double under John Caulfield. Yet here they are now, and their actual future is under threat, and a takeover looks like their only viable option to survive. So, like I said, I caught up with Denis Hurley earlier to find out what's going on with Cork City. We're joined on the line by Denis Hurley, who was in Oriel Park on Monday night as Cork City's poor start to the season continued. Denis, it was a 3-0 loss away to Dundalk. That's 3 league defeats in a row. It's a pretty poor start to the season for City.
It is, Kieran, yeah. I suppose when the fixtures came out, you were looking at the fact that they were away to Shamrock Rovers and Dundalk in the first 3 games, and you knew it would be difficult to get something from that. So the fact that they lost to Shelbourne at home on the opening night kind of really put them under pressure. And then the game Friday night, they had to play the whole second half with only 10 men, and Rovers really took advantage of that. I think Monday night was a bit of an improvement in performance to some degree, but still it was almost kind of what had been expected beforehand. You know, there wasn't any real surprise about how it went. Dundalk were superior, and it was almost a case of damage limitation for City at times.
How much hope, or were there glimmers of hope that City can take from Monday night and use towards the game against Finn Harps this weekend?
There were some, to be fair. I suppose it's a very new team and it's still gelling, so more time they spend together, they'll obviously benefit from. The thing is that Friday night is effectively a relegation 6 points, or even at this early stage of the season, even though Hearts, to be fair, have a win and a draw from their first 3 matches, so they're closer to the top of the table than the bottom now. And City and Sligo are without a point and without a goal, and that's the big worry for City fans, that they don't know where the goals are going to come from when they look at the team. That the attacking options are, I suppose, raw and unproven to a large degree, and it's very much a case of broader expectations on the goal scoring front. Last season, City only scored 29 goals in their 36 games, I think, down from 71 the previous season. And it's looking like something similar this year. And if you're not scoring much, you need to be defending well, and at the moment they're not defending as well as they need to be to counteract the shortage of goals, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and you kind of mentioned there that it's a new team again with Cork City. Like the player turnover from the last couple of years has been extraordinary. You have a piece in this Thursday Southern Star, and you mentioned that Gerard Morrissey is the only survivor from 2017 in Cork starting lineup against Shells last Friday night. Like that's a big turnover.
It is. It's huge, and it's just down to the reduction in the budgets available. That they haven't been able to hang on to the players who won them silverware, and that's all linked into the financial turmoil that the club finds itself in. They were effectively only a couple of hours away from going out of business before they secured a deal with Preston, so that they were able to get the Premier Division licence, and that would have been a complete disaster. Obviously, the fact that there's a team at all, and even if they're struggling near the bottom of the table, is a source of comfort for the City fans. And I suppose now things are in a bit of flux, because there's rumours that Preston's owner Trevor Hemmings is looking to take over City, which would mean a change away from the fan-owned model, which unfortunately, while the club was fan-owned when they won the double in 2017, things have gone downhill since then. And if you're looking ahead, a support-owned club could only ever hope to survive, but as a lower Premier Division team, or even as a First Division team, rather than a side capable of challenging Dundalk and Shamrock Rovers.
It's incredible to think, like you mentioned there, that the club was within hours of going out of existence, and even their application for a Premier Division licence was in danger of being rejected up until the last minute. I suppose for City fans and even soccer fans in general, they'll be asking, how has it come to this?
Yeah, it's the question that seems to come up every few years. In the league, there's a crisis every season with some club, and obviously all that is exacerbated now with the FAI situation and the revelations. You'd say if the FAI can't look after their own house, how are they supposed to keep an eye on the clubs that they're supposed to be guardians over? And the League of Ireland has always kind of had that problem that there's a small core of supporters, and teams doing well will attract more fans, but those fans might necessarily stay when things go bad, and the clubs will overshoot in the search for success and the elusive European glory that everyone's looking for, but only one or two teams will ever achieve. So you're going to have casualties, and it's a case of lessons just not being learned. We've seen it countless times. So the teams from Cork over the years have gone out of business. Other teams have come and gone, and it's just a constant boom and bust cycle, but with a lot more bust than boom.
Is this touted takeover by Trevor Hemmings? So is that the only viable option for Cork City to kind of to survive going into the future?
I think it is, yeah. I was talking to Brian Lennox, who is a former owner of City, and he feels that it would be great if you could make a success of a supporter-owned club, but it doesn't look possible, unfortunately. And for stability and just like you say, viability, you need to have someone with deep pockets who is doing this almost from an emotional point of view rather than a business point of view. And from that, from that vantage point, it does seem that a takeover would be the best option there.
Because what all Cork City fans want to see is City challenging the likes of Shamrock Rovers and Dundalk, but at the moment, I suppose that's far from the mind. So if a new owner came in, that could put City back on the track to becoming challengers again in the future.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. For now, though, it's just a case of trying to ensure Premier Division survival. At the start of the season, the manager Neil Fenn was kind of saying he'd hope City would kind of be able to be challenging upper mid-table and even pushing for Europe, and that might still happen as the team does gel and develop. But right now, it is a case of being in a relegation battle, and they have to get out of it quickly.
And that's why the game against Finn Harps this Friday night, like you said, it's a 6-point already. You feel City need to get something from this game just to have something to build on going into the next few weeks.
Oh, absolutely. I think a win is essential, no matter how it's achieved. Just something just to get the fans cheering again, give the players a bit of belief and just to have something to build on.
Cheers. Good stuff, Dennis. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for listening to the Star Sport Podcast, the only podcast dedicated to all things sport in West Cork. Don't forget to pick up this Thursday's Southern Star newspaper, including our award-winning sports section with everything a West Cork sports fan could want. In shops across West Cork and online from anywhere in the world via www.thesouthernstar.ie/e-paper. The Southern Star and the Star Sport Podcast, #1 for sport in West Cork.
Welcome back to the Star Sport Podcast, and before we wrap up today's show, as always at this time, we're going to preview what's to come in this week's Southern Star Sports section. And as Kieran is modelling for us now, for those of you watching on video, and he's going to explain to those of you listening at home, there's a very special competition in this week's Southern Star, which we think all sports fans from West Cork will be eager to enter.
Anyone who listens to this podcast knows we're big fans of Conor Horan and what he has done for West Cork sport over the last couple of years. And to celebrate Conor being crowned the 2019 West Cork Sports Star of the Year, we have 2 autographed Ireland jerseys from Conor to give away to lucky readers in this Thursday's Southern Star newspaper. All you have to do to be with a chance of winning one of these fantastic prizes is pick up a copy of the paper, go to the sports section, turn to page 3 and given all the instructions here, and answer the very, very simple question and post your entry into us here at the Southern Star. And you can see, like, these Ireland jerseys, I think they're cracking jerseys, isn't it? One of my favourite Ireland jerseys in a long time, and they're signed personally by Conor Horan. We have one adult's jersey size large and one kid's jersey size large to give away. So
do you think you'd fit into the large adults one?
I would squeeze into that with a bit of room to spare, I think. So no, great prize. I see here, signed by Conor, sent all the way from Birmingham from Conor. So we really do appreciate that. Thanks, Conor, for popping those jerseys over to us. So pick up Thursday Star for more details on how you can get your hands.
To win this prize?
And with the playoffs coming up quite soon, it's the perfect prize.
Hang this up in your man cave, or give it to your nephew for his birthday. Give it to your niece for her confirmation. I'm running out of family members, or give it yourself as a treat. Just keep it for your own.
Just treat yourself. So pick up Thursday Star. See how you can get your hands on a Conor Horan jersey. So plenty coming up in this week's Southern Star Sports section, apart from the Conor Horan jersey giveaway competition. And one of my favourite pieces actually this week is an interview with Joan Healy. I have a big interview with Joan Healy, and she's the older sister of Ireland's fastest woman, Phil Healy. And sometimes Joan is forgotten, because when your sister holds 3 national records, isn't on course to go to your Olympic Games, it's easy to forget that it was Joan Healy was the trailblazer in the Healy household in Ballineen. So with the National Senior Indoor Championships coming up this weekend, I caught up with Joan Healy to chat about her. She's had a great indoor season so far. She's hit an equal PB in the 60 metres. So it's just a very, very interesting interview from Joan, who talks about her struggles in 2019, how close she was to walking away from athletics, how her sister helped her stay in athletics, and now with a couple of tweaks to her training and a change in personnel too, she's reaping the rewards. She's running faster than she ever has before. So it really is a very, very interesting and great read in Thursday's Southern Star. And we've plenty more besides that. The Cork footballers, Jack, are going strong. They got their 4th win in a row last weekend. They beat Tipperary. I caught up with Ronan McCarthy earlier to have a chat about the win over Tip, and that puts Cork on the cusp of promotion now. And they're playing Derry at home on Sunday. And if they win that, they'll be on 10 points. And that's the target that Ronan set for them at the outset of the league. And you'll always say they'll be almost guaranteed promotion if they can beat Derry on Sunday. Plenty more besides that. So yeah, definitely worth picking up this week's Southern Star, Jack. Again, packed with sport.
And if you can't make it to a shop on Thursday, you can always avail of the Southern Star's digital edition online by clicking on to www.southernstar.ie facebook.com/epaper. And Kieran, before you wrap up today's show, I just want to get a cheap plug in there for something I'm involved in. This Friday night, the Island River Boxing Club, Skibbereen's one and only boxing club, are hosting a charity fight night in the club on Market Street in Skibbereen this Friday from 7 p.m, with all proceeds going to Down Syndrome West Cork and the Island River Boxing Club. So if you enjoy boxing, if you were inspired by what you saw from Tyson Fury last Saturday night, Sunday morning, come down to the Island River Boxing Club on Friday night and you'll see me in action and see how I compare to Tyson Fury. Or if you're annoyed listening to me every week, you'll probably get to see me take some heavy punches to the face.
Just on Tyson Fury, Deontay Wilder, how would your walk on music be, Jake?
Well, I'll tell you a story about walk on music. When I was boxing in my youth for a different boxing club, they used to hold a show every year where they were treated like a big Vegas fight night. So you'd pick your music, you'd get to walk on. It was a big ring in a ballroom with dinner tables and like hundreds of people there, so it was a big deal at the time. So you get to pick your walk on music, and I picked at the time, just pretty lame at the time, but Joe Budden, Pump It Up, a rap song, Joe, from the time, from kind of like early 2000s. So that was my favourite song at the time. But when I actually walked out, the song they played was I Get Knocked Down but I Get Up Again, which I walked out to, flabbergasted with. Not the ideal tune you want to be playing when you're a boxer, because the thing you're trying to achieve as a boxer is not to get knocked down. So
was it an act song? Did you get knocked down?
I didn't get knocked down. I think I actually won that fight, but so that's the only time I've actually had the chance to choose entrance music, because unfortunately amateur boxing is not nearly as glamorous as professional boxing.
Best of luck this weekend, Jack. Hope you get a big crowd there. So hopefully I'm not going to butcher the ending like I did last week. So thanks everyone for listening to this week's Star Sport podcast. We'll be back at the same time next week. So if you enjoy these shows, please make sure to rate, review and subscribe on iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, Acast, Stitcher or wherever else you listen to the show. Like a true professional.